Wagner boss presumed dead in plane crash as Russia wages war in Ukraine. Prigozhin plane crash wreckage scattered across a 2-kilometer debris field. Russian state media says wreckage of the plane crash northwest of Moscow is scattered across a 2-kilometer debris field, Russian state media reported Thursday. Upon freefall, the Embraer plane wreckage broke apart across a 2-kilometer area away from the village, Kozenkino, where most of the fuselage wreckage was found, state-run outlet Russia 24 said. The majority of the wreckage fell near agricultural enterprises. State-run news agency RIA Novosti also reported that one of the fragments of the plane is lying on the entry road into the village of Kozenkino, which is approximately 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles, from the crash site. According to RIA, police officers cordoned off the fragment and several special services cars are parked nearby. Fatal journey. Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigozhin was on board the plane that crashed with no survivors, according to Russian authorities, just months after he launched a mutiny against Russia's military leadership. The Kremlin is yet to comment on the crash. The Russian Investigative Committee said earlier it had initiated a criminal case following the crash, while state aviation authority Rosaviation said a specially created commission has begun investigating the circumstances and causes of the accident. Analysis. What could have caused the plane crash that reportedly killed Prigozhin? The plane that crashed, reportedly carrying Wagner founder Yevgeny Prigozhin, was a private Embraer jet carrying 7 passengers and 3 crew members, according to Russia's Emergency Services Ministry. It's not yet clear what caused the plane to crash. Russian authorities said they are investigating and conducting search operations. Here's what we know. The plane departed from Moscow and was en route to St. Petersburg when it crashed near the village of Kozenkino, in Russia's western Tver region, Russian officials said. Flight data shows the plane reached an altitude of some 28,000 feet before it suddenly stopped transmitting tracking details. Official news agency TASS reported the plane burned up on impact. It had been in the air for about half an hour. Video published by Russian state media outlet RIA Novosti showed a plane plummeting with one wing missing. CNN is unable to confirm the authenticity of the video, but RIA claimed it was the moment that an Embraer jet fell from the sky over the Tver region. Expert points to possible explosion. It's coming down quickly in a spin, and it's trailing a lot of smoke. So, this is an aircraft that was on fire. And it looks like some structural pieces, aerodynamic surfaces, were missing, veteran science and aerospace reporter Miles O'Brien told CNN after reviewing footage of the plane's fall. An aircraft like this, they just don't catastrophically drop out of the sky without something very unusual happening, he added. Putin as reports of the plane crash poured in on Wednesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin was in the southwestern Kursk region leading a ceremony honoring both the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Kursk and Russian forces currently fighting in Ukraine. The anniversary relates to a clash near Kursk in 1943, during World War II, when the forces of Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union fought in a major tank battle, resulting in a Soviet victory. Putin gave a speech at a memorial in the village of Panirai and presented state awards to participants in what Russia still describes as its special military operation in Ukraine. The whole burden of fighting today, as in the years of the Great Patriotic War, lies primarily on our soldiers, on those who are on the front line, Putin said at the event. All our fighters fight bravely and decisively. Devotion to the motherland, loyalty to the military oath unite all participants in the special military operation. Putin's speech and the elaborate, highly choreographed ceremony were broadcast on state television Wednesday evening local time. In the same newscast, on state channel Russia 24, there was a report about a plane crash in Tver region, and that Yevgeny Prigozhin's name was among the names of the passengers. Putin's remarks aired around 9 p.m. local time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, while state media reported that the crash had occurred around 6 p.m. local time. Russian emergency services said at the time that the Embraer aircraft came down near the village of Kozenkino, in Tver region, while flying from Moscow to St. Petersburg. There were 10 people on board, including 3 crew members, and all were killed, Russian state media said. During the ceremony in Kursk, which Putin described as grandiose, the Russian leader presented a state award to the crew of the Alyosha T-80 tank, which was claimed to have destroyed a Ukrainian armored convoy on the Zaporizhia axis, according to state news agency TASS. While in Kursk, Putin also met with residents, video on Russia 24 showed. Residents shook hands with Putin and some even gave him a hug, in the Russia 24 clip. Earlier in the day, Putin addressed, via video link, the BRICS summit that is underway in Johannesburg, claiming that Moscow launched its invasion of Ukraine in order to end a war unleashed by the West. Prigozhin signed a special death warrant for himself, Ukrainian presidential advisor says. The demonstrative elimination of Yevgeny Prigozhin shows that Russian President Vladimir Putin does not forgive anyone for his own bestial terror, Mikhailo Podolyak, Ukrainian presidential advisor, claimed on social media. About Prigozhin, it is worth waiting for the fog of war to disappear. Meanwhile, it is obvious that Putin does not forgive anyone for his own bestial terror. Exactly the one that nullified him in June 2023, Podolyak said. The crash comes 2 months after Prigozhin launched a mutiny against Russia's military leadership. The attempted rebellion was called off in a deal brokered by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko that required Prigozhin and his fighters to relocate to Belarus. But Podolyak claimed Putin was waiting for the moment. It is also obvious that Prigozhin signed a special death warrant for himself the moment he believed in Lukashenko's bizarre guarantees and Putin's equally absurd word of honor, he said, referring to the deal that ended the Wagner Group's short-lived rebellion. Following that deal, criminal charges were dropped against the Wagner boss. But Putin said in a speech at the time that those on the path of treason would face punishment. The demonstrative elimination of Prigozhin and the Wagner command 2 months after the coup attempt is a signal from Putin to Russia's elites ahead of the 2024 elections. Beware, disloyalty equals death, Podolyak claimed Wednesday. But it is also a signal to the Russian military: there will be no SVO, Special Military Operation, heroes. If it isn't a Ukrainian tribunal, it will be an FSB bullet. The Kremlin is yet to comment on the crash.